Brittany covers her mouth with her hands and screams, "Oh my God!" Then she leaps toward him. He slips the ring onto her finger. They hug. Someone starts clapping. Maybe out of habit. Maybe out of shock. And me, I'm just standing there, next to the cake, with 26 candles still burning, like a fool. Imagine, you're turning 26, you throw a party, everything is perfect. Decorations, candles, music, friends, loved ones, including him, your boyfriend. And her, your best friend. Everything as it should be. You're standing in the middle of the room, holding a glass of Prosecco. "Happy birthday, Olivia," is playing. Everyone is clapping, and then he gets down on one knee. But not in front of you. In front of your best friend. And for a moment, the whole world falls silent. The music seems to choke in the speakers. Laughter stops. I didn't even immediately understand what was happening. My brain just refused to accept it. I looked and thought, is this a prank? Some strange gift? A new flash mob? Number. He was holding a ring. A real one. Looking at her. And she at him, and crying, tears of happiness. The whole room froze. Someone whispered, "Oh God." And I just stood there, watching a man I had been dating for a year and a half propose to the woman I called a sister. On my birthday. At my party. In my apartment. It was supposed to be a day about me, but it became the end of an entire chapter of my life. Or maybe the beginning of something else. The beginning of my true self. But back then, I didn't know that. Back then, I just stood with a glass in my hand and tried not to cry. Do you know what it's like when your heart breaks not in a second, but in slow motion? You see that ring, those hands, that smile. You hear someone gasp. Someone says, "Oh God, she said yes." And you feel like you're part of the room. But you're not there anymore. I didn't fall down. Didn't throw a tantrum. Didn't smash my glass against the wall. I just froze. Then took a sip. A big one. And for the first time in my life, I felt what it's like to be betrayed by the two closest people to you. At the same time, right in your face. In front of everyone. I didn't leave immediately. I stood, watched. They hugged. He raised his hand to her cheek, the very same hand that yesterday had stroked my hair. She whispered something in his ear. The very same friend who a month ago swore to me I'd never look his way. And you know what's the strangest part? No one, absolutely no one, came up to me. As if I disappeared. As if I was erased from the script. As if I were an extra in someone else's movie. But I didn't disappear. I stood and remembered. Every face. Every reaction. Every smile. Everything I needed to start over, without them. Before that evening, I was ordinary. Just a regular girl from Austin, Texas. Working as a manager at a marketing agency, chasing clients for deadlines, making presentations in Canva, constantly drinking oat milk lattes, and trying to figure out why my salary wasn't growing but my anxiety was. I had my little life. Saturdays trips to the farmer's market. Sundays cleaning out my inbox with true crime playing in the background. Nothing remarkable. But that was stability. I wasn't chasing drama. I was chasing normalcy. And then there was Jake. He wasn't some superhero. An IT guy. Quiet, polite, a bit reserved. You know, the kind of guy who doesn't throw fireworks but reliably brings you food when you're sick. He had a sweet smile and a terrible taste in socks. Like bright yellow with French fries. Or green ones with cats wearing glasses. At first it annoyed me. Later it became kind of cute. He wasn't the life of the party, didn't flirt with waitresses, didn't forget my birthday. Gave practical gifts. Tried hard. He said I was his better half. And I believed him. A year and a half of a relationship, no big fights, no cheating. At least, that's what I thought. And there was Brittany. My friend. No, my best friend. From college. We met in a psychology lecture. She showed up hungover, chewing strawberry gum. Saturday next to me said, "You have pretty nails. You're not mean, right?" And that's how our friendship started. She was my complete opposite. Loud, glamorous, always the center of attention. Where I would sit quietly in the corner taking notes, she was already dancing on the table. Everyone adored her, professors, guys, even cashiers at the store. But I liked that. Next to her, I felt alive, like I could be not just adequate, but bold. We went through broken hearts, exams, hangovers, layoffs, moves together. I shared everything with her. Everything. Including Jake. She knew how we met, how it took him forever to ask me out, how he once forgot my order at Starbucks and I got upset, how he carried my bag when my back hurt. I trusted her like I trusted myself. When I went on business trips, she sometimes stopped by to feed my cat. When Jake and I fought, she was the judge. When I started doubting if he was right for me, she said, "He loves you. You're just not used to stability. Learn to accept the good, Olivia." So I did. Accepted him. And accepted her. And this is how it ended. If someone had told me then, a couple of weeks before the party, "They're together," I would have laughed. No, seriously, I wouldn't have believed it. Jake? He wasn't the type to cheat. And Brittany? She wasn't like that. I thought I knew her, didn't I? Turns out I didn't know. Neither her. Nor him. Nor myself, as it turned out. When everything fell apart, I started remembering. As if my brain switched into some rewind mode and every detail I had ignored before suddenly became suspicious. And you know what's the creepiest part? They didn't even try to hide much. I just didn't want to see. They were friendly. Very friendly. At first, it seemed cute. He laughed at her jokes, even though usually he only smiled politely at mine. She teased him about his socks, calling him our little geek, and I thought, well, that's funny. They chatted about television shows I'd never even heard of. Sometimes they'd start talking about some meme, and I'd stand nearby, feeling like an outsider. But then I told myself, they just get along. That's good. They're two important people in my life, and they're friends. Isn't that great? Great! Yeah, of course. There was one moment. A small one, but now it burns in my memory like a neon sign. My friends and I had a get-together at my place. Pizza, wine, fairy lights on the balcony. I went to the kitchen to open a second bottle of wine. I was gone for maybe 5 minutes. When I came back, they were gone. Neither Jake nor Brittany. At first, I thought maybe one of them went to the bathroom, or maybe outside on the balcony. Then suddenly both appeared from the backyard. Laughing, red-faced, Brittany with tightly pressed lips, Jake looking somewhere past me. I asked, "Where were you?" She said, "Oh, we were watching to see if the cat ran away from the yard." I nodded, smiled, didn't think twice. Trusted them both. But now I wonder, what were they really doing out there? Why did they come back with glazed eyes? Why, for God's sake, did I feel nothing? And there were other little things too. Once she said, "Sometimes I think Jake and I have way too similar tastes. It's kind of scary." I replied, "Ha, maybe that's why I love you both." Low.ve. Such a beautiful word. And then it becomes heavy, like a stone. Or that party at her friend's place. I came late from work. They were already there together. Standing by the bar, sharing a margarita from the same glass. "I just forgot my straw," she said. "We share everything," he added. And I laughed. Oh God, how I laughed. Back then, I didn't think those were warning signs. I didn't see the danger. I thought betrayal looked like something ugly, obvious, dirty. But it was. Gentle. Subtle. With a smile. With inside jokes. With wine from one glass. Do you see? I wasn't stupid. I was in love. And love, it turns out, can be a perfect disguise for deception. I trusted them. Both of them. He, my boyfriend. She, my friend. And that trust became the weapon they used to hurt me. My 26th birthday. I decided it would be beautiful, stylish, Pinterest-worthy. I spent a whole week organizing everything by myself. Ordered garlands, decorated the balcony with lights, fussed over the menu, mini burgers, artichoke pasta, tiny cheesecakes in jars. Bought paper flowers that looked fancier than my rent. Even made a playlist, a bit of retro, some indie, some dance, so by the end, nobody would just stand around but would be swaying with glasses in their hands, shouting, "This is my song." This was supposed to be my night. But here's the weird part. Jake? He seemed distant. Usually, sure, he wasn't the one rushing to cut ribbons, but last year at least he ordered the cake himself. This time he just sat there, staring at his phone. When I asked, "Can you help hang the lights?" he just nodded. In a minute, 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes lasted almost an hour. And then he simply disappeared with Brittany. I found them in my kitchen. She was whispering something to him, her hand on his shoulder. When I walked in, they both suddenly fell silent. I asked, "What, plotting against me?" Laughing, lightly. She smiled. "Well, yeah, we're just discussing how to surprise you. Jake came up with something." At that moment, I didn't think twice. The word surprise didn't raise any alarm bells, though it should have. Then the party started. People arrived, music played, the scent of orange and rosemary candles filled the air. I, like a fool, ran around with plates and napkins. Everyone said how great everything was. Only one person acted like it was their day. Brittany. She was like, on a runway. Taking a million selfies, not with me, by the way, but with guests, with my cake, with my silly banner that said, "Happy birthday, Lexi." And she covered my name with her hand. She controlled the music like it was her playlist. Wiped her hands on my tablecloth. Hugged Jake way too tightly? Too long? But I still thought, okay, she just loves attention. As always, that's Brittany, that's normal. Only later did I realize she'd been in some kind of special state all evening. Like she was waiting for something. Like she knew her moment was coming soon. I just didn't know that night my living room would become a stage. And that I wouldn't be the star. Everyone is already a little tipsy. Some are dancing to Florence plus the machine, some are arguing by the drinks bar, and I'm standing by the cake, smiling. 26 candles are burning. I make a wish. And just as I'm about to blow them out, Jake says, Wait, can I have a minute?" Voices quiet down. Someone laughs. "Oh, looks like there's going to be a toast." I turn to him, smiling a little awkwardly. Like, don't do this, but it's nice. A thought flashes through my head. He's about to say how much he loves me, how proud he is of me, maybe even a proposal? He raises his glass and says, "Tonight is a special night. Because tonight, I want to thank the person who has become everything to me." I'm already blushing. I think, damn, this is really happening. He continues, "You are the most important thing that has ever happened to me. You make me better. You are my inspiration, my joy, my home." And then he takes a step, past me, turns around, and looks at Brittany. He kneels down on one knee, takes out a little box. No. The room falls completely silent. I hear someone drop a glass shattering. Someone nearby mumbles, "Wait, what?" And I just stand there, like in a vacuum. Ringing in my ears. Silence in my head. Brittany covers her mouth with her hands, screams, "Oh my God!" and jumps at him. He slips the ring on her finger. They hug. Someone claps, maybe out of habit, maybe out of shock. And me, I'm standing by the cake, with 26 candles still lit. Like an idiot, with a frozen smile on my face. Like someone hit pause just on me. And you know what's the worst part? They didn't even look at me. No. Sorry. No, this is weird, but... No, we didn't want you to find out like this. Nothing. Just a scene of love right in the middle of my night. In my apartment. With my friends? On my birthday. And everyone is looking not at me, but at them. Inside. It's like everything tightens up inside me. Not from tears, but from some kind of icy emptiness. I slowly turned around. Nobody noticed. Went to the bathroom. Closed the door. And for the first time all evening looked at myself in the mirror. You know what I thought? This is the end. But maybe this is also the beginning. The beginning of the version of me that will never stand in the background again. After that night, everything around me grew quiet. But not peaceful, it was hollow, like someone had muted the sound in my world. I didn't cry. Not right away. I just sat there, in my apartment, surrounded by empty glasses and scattered balloons. And I thought, what was that even? Was it my birthday, or a funeral for the old me? My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages, notifications, tags. But not from them. Not from Jake. Not from Brittany. Only, are you okay? Is it true? Tef, did he really do that? Please call. I didn't reply, not to a single one. I didn't even read them all, I just watched the notifications pour in like rain. And then, I saw Brittany's post. A photo. Them together. He's down on one knee, she's crying, the ring shining. And the caption. Love always wins. Love always wins. I wonder whose. I stared at that post for a long time. You know that feeling when someone douses you with cold water, but you haven't realized you're soaked yet? I hit block. Her first, then him. No messages, no calls, no explanations. I sat on the floor in my apartment wearing a hoodie smelling of champagne and vanilla candles. And suddenly, I realized how lonely I felt. Not just without people, but without support, without trust, without the old naive version of myself who believed that if you're kind, no one will betray you. I scrolled through the photos on my phone. Me, Jake, and Brittany everywhere together. Trips, holidays, silly selfies. I was the link between them, and they apparently just grew closer through me. They bypassed me. I hit delete on the entire folder. Not out of anger, out of cleansing, like I needed to erase everything that no longer made sense. And then I told myself, enough. Enough being convenient. Enough being the one who won't get upset. Enough being the background in someone else's party. I am not the quiet friend, not the backup plan, not the warm-up act before the show. From this day on, I am the main character. In my own life. And if I've lost the people I trusted most, then there's nothing left to lose. Only to gain. And I'll start with myself. After I blocked them both, I realized I couldn't keep living like this. I needed not just to survive, I had to rebuild myself from scratch. The very first thing I did was sign up for therapy. I didn't know what to expect, but I felt I needed to talk it out, to release everything inside me, like dirt being scraped from a wound. The therapist helped me understand why I had ignored the obvious for so long, why I allowed myself to be treated that way, and most importantly, how to set boundaries from now on. At the same time, I started going to the gym. Not to become perfect or to please anyone, but to feel strength in my body, energy, control. With every weight I lifted, every kilometer I ran, I felt like I was erasing old pain and building a new version of myself strong, confident, independent. Then I enrolled in online programming courses. It was new and scary, but through it I felt I could take control of my life, create something of my own, rather than depend on others. I began getting freelance gigs, and with them came the feeling that I wasn't just a victim, I was the creator of my future. The changes touched not only my inner world. I updated my wardrobe, simple but stylish pieces in which I felt authentic. I moved out of my old apartment, leaving behind toxic memories and atmosphere. And I cautiously started changing my circle, removing those who kept me tied to the past and opening doors to new, genuine friends. At the same time, I started a Twitter account and a blog. At first, I just wrote about how hard it was to survive betrayal. Then about the importance of saying no, setting boundaries, and loving yourself. My posts got likes and shares. People messaged me in DMs, sharing their stories. I realized I wasn't alone, that my pain was shared by many, and together we could support each other. My online community grew, and I felt not just like a survivor, I became a voice for those who are afraid to speak up. And that gave me a new purpose, a new meaning. After going through therapy, the gym, and online courses, life started changing me in ways I never imagined. I got a job at a startup, small but very ambitious. At first, I was just part of the team, learning and absorbing everything like a sponge. But thanks to my hard work, fresh perspective, and inner strength, within a year I was promoted to lead a department. I couldn't believe it was happening, but that's when I truly felt I could control my own destiny. The stories I shared on my blog and social media began to attract attention. A popular podcast invited me for an interview. I told the whole truth, no sugarcoating, no tears, just honesty and strength. I shared how important it is not to fear pain, how vital it is to stop being a victim. That interview went viral, millions of listens, thousands of messages from people who found hope and inspiration in my story. Then something unexpected happened. I met someone new. He was completely different. Attentive, reliable, respectful of my boundaries and feelings. He didn't ask me to change. He was just there supporting, listening, giving me space to be myself. It wasn't a fairy tale, but real with respect, trust, and mutual love. With him, I learned to trust again without losing myself. Now, when I look back at that day when Jake got down on one knee to Brittany, I realize that was my beginning. The start of a journey that led me to success and true happiness. And most importantly, now I know that no one and nothing can take away my power unless I let it go myself. A year passed. And one day, I got a message from Brittany. "You were right. He cheated on me 3 months after our engagement." A confession that comes too late, but at least it's honest. She apologized. No excuses, no explanations. Just wrote, "I'm sorry." And you know what I did? I didn't get angry. I just didn't reply. Because sometimes silence is the loudest answer. This year taught me a lot. One of the most important lessons: we don't have to keep a place in our lives for those who no longer want to be honest or kind there. And here's what I realized. If someone turns your birthday into their stage, it means you've long deserved your own Hall of Fame. Because a true Hall of Fame is when you make the rules, when you choose who stays and who doesn't. Sometimes betrayal isn't the end. It's your happy side effect on the way to your true self. You don't stay broken, you become stronger. Not defeated, but hardened. And when you finally accept that, true freedom comes. That's how I closed one chapter and opened another, a chapter where no one will ever hurt me on my own celebration again. And now, when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't see a victim. I see a winner. And that is the best feeling in the world.